I want to talk about one of my new favorite vegetables, spaghetti squash. If you haven't had it, it's really delicious. It's very mild in flavor and it has the texture of spaghetti. So if you don't want to eat a bunch of heavy carbs and if you're grain free, this is like the paleo spaghetti. They're very hard and they're difficult to cut. And this is a really small one. Sometimes, they're huge. This is like, a kid's Nerf football, but sometimes they're like the size of a watermelon. So I found them very, very difficult to cut before baking. And then I realized, why don't I just bake it whole? So you can put this in a baking pan with a little bit of water in the bottom at 400 degrees and bake it until when you put a paring knife through it and it's soft, depending on the size. If it's small, it might take 45 minutes. If it's large, it might take an hour. But then I figured out, I don't have to peel this and cut it and scrape out the seeds. I can just cook it whole. So you can do that in the oven. But if you don't want to do it in the oven, especially I like to leave it when I'm going to be gone for the day, I put it in my crock pot, and I have this one that is made out of clay, which I really love because it doesn't have like that plastic lining and it doesn't have an aluminum insert because aluminum can be really problematic. It's been associated with Alzheimer's and heavy metal toxicity. So check out the clay pots, and they're not paying me to endorse them. I should probably contact them, but anyway, they're awesome. I love them. I've made lasagna in this and it's like naturally non-stick and there's no heavy metals. But any kind of crock pot will do. You could also do it in the pressure cooker. So I'm just gonna put this in whole. I washed it with enough water to come up about a quarter of the way. So for this crock pot, that's about 2 cups, and this is not a large crock pot. So if you do have a larger squash and a larger crock pot, you'll have to probably put closer to 4 cups of water. So I can just now put the lid on this, close it. I can put it on slow cooker on low for about 8 hours, or I can put it on high for 4 hours. Depending on the size, that may vary a little bit, but generally speaking, that's what it is. If you want to use a pressure cooker or if you have an Instapot or a pressure cooker, that only takes about 6 to 8 minutes depending on the size of your squash. So let them cool down a little bit. Once they're done, you put it on the cutting board, cut it lengthwise, you scrape out the seeds, and then just take a fork and you just scrape it, and you'll have like these wonderful like spiralized spaghetti noodles, and you can serve that just like you would spaghetti with a beautiful sauce of your choice. We like pesto at our house. You can top it with chicken or any kind of animal protein that you like. You could do a marinara or a bolognese sauce. I also make a spaghetti squash enchilada casserole. So I put the spaghetti squash in the bottom, and then I put my enchilada sauce, and I put my vegan cashew cheese on top, and I put a little bit of Mexican seasonings like cumin and oregano. And make sure you get the Mexican oregano rather than the Mediterranean because they do actually taste different. And then I just bake it in the oven until it's hot. And it's so delicious. You can even put some beans in there too. So just be creative with it. Cook it like you would pasta and have fun and enjoy with less carbs and healthier carbs.